India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar talked to WION senior anchor Molly Gambhir about India's G20 presidency and his concerns regarding the Global South. Listen in.
A very important day for India as it takes over the G20 presidency. What would India's immediate priorities be, and what would your message be to the Russian and the Ukrainian leadership at this point?
I agree with you, a very important day. In fact, we've had a number of events today to underline that, beginning with the Prime Minister's op-ed, which was carried by multiple newspapers across the world. And, our endeavor obviously would be to address some of the pressing issues of the day, issues like food security, energy security, more perennial issues like sustainable development goals, climate action, climate justice. But we have just taken over the presidency. I think there will also be a lot of consultations with other countries because we are very determined that India should really articulate the concerns and the interests of the Global South. The Global South is under a lot of pressure due to a combination of circumstances, debt, COVID, the Ukraine conflict, extreme climate, in some parts of the world, terrorism as well. Some of what we would be pushing is visible right now. Some of it, I think, would emerge with the passage of time. Definitely, we intend to have both a very consultative but also a very impactful presidency.
Indeed, and what is also visible is India's unique position on the global stage. How do you think it can see India emerge as a key mediator between Russia and Ukraine, and the potential that India has on that front?
There's no question the world is very polarized. And one of the crucial issues of polarization right now is the Ukraine conflict. Our effort, where Ukraine itself is concerned, we've been from the very start advocates of diplomacy and dialogue. And the Prime Minister has been very clear that this is not an era of war. But even going into Bali, the Bali was the Indonesian presidency. The Indonesians had a very tough task on their hands. I think they did extremely well under the circumstances. But we were very supportive of them. We essentially, a number of us worked together to find some kind of common landing point on the more difficult issues, so that the G20 itself was not in some way jeopardized by this polarization. I think today countries do recognize the value of someone like India, which has maintained its relationship, which has made clear its principles, at the same time which has applied itself really to nudging developments towards away from the conflict. The conflict today has other individual aspects of it. The grain initiative, grain export initiative was one of them. There was some anxiety on some of the nuclear issues. There are other concerns. Even I think fertilizer, how do you get fertilizer out to the world is a big concern right now. We are working, sometimes on our own, sometimes visibly, sometimes less so, sometimes supportively. We've been very, very much in contact with the UN Secretary General on a lot of his efforts. So there's a lot happening out there. But our effort would be to see if the G20 as the premier forum of the biggest economies of the world focus on the right issues, focus on the vulnerabilities and the anxieties of the Global South, because if we take our eyes off that ball, I think the world's really headed for trouble.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Great speaking with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.